Welcome back to another episode of Aussie Google Earth Explorer. Today's ep. I'm G'd actually. I'm G'd because State of Origin's tonight. When you're watching this, the game would have already been over. I'll probably upload this tomorrow on the Thursday. So Origin has been and gone. But look, fingers crossed for a Blues win tonight. Fingers crossed for a Blues win. 3 towns we're going to look at today are, drumroll, we're going to look at Orange. We're going to look at Bathurst, and I reckon we'll pick a random one somewhere else. But we're going to focus on Orange and Bathurst here, all right? We're going to focus on Orange and Bathurst. Now, I drove through here the other day, and coming from Sydney, I live in Sydney, coming through, I was very surprised, first time I've been to Orange before, how close Orange and Bathurst actually are. So you pretty much drive through Bathurst, and you're in Orange in like half an hour. And they're very similar sized towns. Like Bathurst has a uni. There's Orange, maybe Orange has a uni as well. But they're pretty big regional towns and they're super close to each other. They are super close to each other. Let's start here in Bathurst, all right? Bathurst is probably the more famous of the two, but Orange has been growing. A lot of people moving to Orange. Nice town. But let's just have a look at Bathurst here, all right? Let's have a look at Bathurst. Now, it's pretty rural, as you can see. There's farms out here, and then there's a sort of city centre. But when we're talking about Bathurst, New South Wales, right? When we're talking about Bathurst, really, what are we talking about? We're talking about Mount Panorama. Okay, this is where the Bathurst 1000 happens, and we can see it here, Mount Panorama, or upside down. But let's just pretend. Now, the cool thing about this is Australia's most famous racetrack, and it's also a public road. Okay, this is just a public road. You can drive on this thing. Anyone can drive on it. All right, and it's at 50 k's an hour speed limit. Now, let's just start here. Okay, this is where you drive in. All right, this is a public road, and you just drive your little car in, and all of a sudden you turn on here, and you just actually that's not even where you drive in from. Hold on, let's get this straight. Where do you even bloody enter this thing? All right, you drive in here. Okay, hold on, let's start again here. Right. This is Mount Panorama. This is Australia's most famous racetrack. This is in Bathurst. And as you drive in, okay, this is just a road. As I said before, it's a 50-kilometre-hour road. It's just a normal road. And you drive in here on Panorama Avenue, and you're on Pitt Straight. You literally drive in here, and you're on the racetrack. And anyone can drive on this thing. Literally anyone can drive on this thing. So I get on here, I'm on Pitt Straight. I drive past the grandstand. And like I said, 50 k's an hour doesn't feel like much. And at this part of the circuit, all right, it's pretty slow. In fact, it feels very slow because the road is really, really wide. And it's also, it feels different to a normal road because the quality of the actual surface is a lot smoother. So you don't feel any bumps, right? I cruise along here, okay, and I get to Hell's Corner here. First corner, bang, smack it around Hell's Corner, and I'm cruising up Mountain Straight. Now, this is a long straight. If I was racing in a V8 supercar, I'd be pretty much up top gear here. I'm flat out all the way up here, right? Mountain Straight. I fang it up here, around Griffiths Bend, I believe, up through here. This is the cutting, and now I'm going uphill, okay, and it shows the gradient a little bit on here. It shows the gradient a little bit. It's way steeper than it looks. Man, especially here, you start turning up here, it's super steep, right? Over Skyline, through here. Man, when they drive this thing on the telly, they are completely flat out. And as soon as you get to the top here around Skyline, right? As soon as you start coming down the hill through the S's, this is insane how steep this is. It's 50 k's an hour, but if you were doing any more than 50, honestly, if you did this at 50 through the S's and through all this, it's too fast, man. Through the dipper, it's way too fast. Cruise around here, I bang it through there, down through Forest Elbow, on Conrad Straight, and then I cruise and I finish, right? It goes this way, it's finished. But the amount of gradient at the top of the hill that you experience is way more than you think, man. And it makes you appreciate what they do on the TV way more. So if you haven't done this before, if you haven't driven Mount Panorama Circuit, like I said, this is a public road and you can just drive on here whenever you want, man. And it's totally worth it. It's totally worth it. If you come through Bathurst, check out Mount Panorama. It's awesome. All right, let's have a look at Bathurst here. Let's see what we're working with, all right? Because it has a university, right? Charles Sturt University. And this is a country uni. So you can come here, they'll do a bunch of courses that, other unis maybe wouldn't do. Distance education, like equine science, agriculture stuff. Country unis, they specialize in different things. Horticulture, they do normal degrees as well, like, business, physio, whatever, but they definitely have a focus on rural jobs and rural education, and it makes sense. And this is a pretty big uni, man, Charles Sturt Uni. This is a pretty big uni. I believe, and I'm not 100% sure here, what is Mots and Grots? Okay, what is Mots and Grots? Someone in the comment tell me what this is, okay? Because I have been told that at Bathurst Uni, at Charles Sturt Bathurst Uni, there's some sort of like club, or there was a club called Mots and Grots. It's probably like massively outdated now, where like guys will just get super drunk on rums and do like weird, gross things. If you have any stories about this Mots and Grots, and it is postable in the comments, please enlighten the viewers and the rest of the listeners as to what it is, because it sounds like something that we should be talking about. All right, we've got the Bathurst Pistol Club here, the Bathurst Pistol Club. And let me tell you, if you've never shot a pistol before, it's so hard to not turn it sideways and shoot it like you're in a movie. All right, the first time I shot a pistol, I remember the person that was telling us like gun safety. I've got like basic level of gun safety, but even me with that, every part of me, as soon as the instructor turned their back, I just wanted to turn this thing sideways and just blast the whole magazine. It's something inside us that as soon as you're by yourself and you've got a pistol, you want to turn that thing sideways and shoot it like you're in a movie, all right? Because it is just too fun. It is just way too fun. And man, there are some nice houses out here in Bathurst. There are some Robindale Court out here in Bathurst. These are nice houses, man, the country houses. And if you're from the city and you don't know, mate, in the country, people have big homes on big blocks. And it makes sense, obviously, right? There's a lot of room, but they're like estates out here. These are like estates out in the country. And I love the country living. If you've watched my videos before, you'll know I'm all about this country living. All right, I live in the city right now, but hopefully that's for too much longer. I get a windfall of cash, as it were. I'm moving out to the country. And Bathurst, it could be me. I mean, look at this thing, mate. This looks like a presidential this is the White House of Bathurst here. This is the Presidential Palace of Bathurst, number 5 in Barina, or Holden Barina. Okay, maybe that's where the Holden Barina was invented. But it's, as you can see, like, look at these homes out here in Bathurst. You're living large. I'm loving what I'm seeing so far in Bathurst. I'm loving what I'm seeing. Okay, the old go-kart track, Cherry Tree Hill, out in Bathurst, and ladies and gents, it's in need of some repairs. It's in need of some repairs. It's just at this point, it's barely even a go-kart track. And I'm sorry to say, the old go-kart track at Cherry Tree Hill, maybe this was used back in the 60s or 70s, but since then, usage has been quite limited. Let's have a little look around here in the town of Bathurst, and see if we can't see a few little things here. Let's actually zoom out here. We've got Scott's All Saints College Junior School Campus in Bathurst. What are they working with here? Let's have a little look around here. Now I'm seeing what have we got here, mate? This looks almost like some military gym equipment. You know what I mean? Jump over this log, run under this sort of thing here. That's looking like a bit of a military style boot camp. Are they giving them a bit of boot camp out here in Bathurst at Scott's All Saints College? I'm not sure. A pretty standard looking school, really. I mean, there's not much to say. Oval looks pretty standard. Couple courts. These tennis courts are pretty out of the way. There's a pretty, that's basketball courts. Not much going on there in down in Scots. The Macquarie River runs through Bathurst. Now I drove over this thing and she looks pretty brown, looks pretty dirty. I don't know if there's many fish to be caught in the Macquarie River in Bathurst. I don't know if there's any fish to be. I think there's actually a jail in Bathurst. Let's see if we can find the Bathurst jail, because I'm pretty sure there's a bloody jail out here. There's a jail out here. Now, if I was a jail in Bathurst, where would I be? Let's zoom out a little bit here. Let's just try and figure out where would I be if I'm a jail. I wouldn't be in the middle of town, surely. I wouldn't be in the middle of town. I'd be out of town a little bit. You'd be out of town, like in this area here. And I don't reckon we can find it. Now, I'm not looking it up, because I made a point to not look things up. This is just off the cuff. And if you didn't know, I don't do any research for these videos. I just jump straight in and just have a crack. All right? Life's just about having a crack. And I think that's probably Bathurst, right? It's a beautiful little country town. We've looked at the Mount Panorama circuit here in Bathurst. We've looked at the school. There's some nice fields here. St. Pat's Rugby League Football Club. There's some lovely fields here. This is high quality. If you are part of the St. Pat's Rugby League Club, look, you can actually see them watering the fields. And that's some green grass, ladies and gentlemen. That's some green grass. Turn off bloody Hereford Street here, park the car, Tarago, got, 10 kids in it. We pile out here, bang. Down at the old St. Pat's Fields. The Manning Aquatic Centre. And a nice outdoor pool. That's a beautiful outdoor pool. I can't even pronounce that word, whatever that is. This outdoor pool is nice. And I'm liking, if you had these houses that backed onto this outdoor pool, imagine that growing up as a kid. Jump the fence, bang, I'm in the pool. No dramas, mum and dad. I'm doing a bit of pool action this afternoon. As if you wouldn't be jumping the fence. Let's just zoom out a little bit more here. Bathurst Golf Club. I drove past the Bathurst Golf Club. Oh, and actually, ladies and gentlemen, we found the jail. This is the Bathurst jail. Now, I have made a video about this before, and I commented on the closeness of the green here to the actual jail itself. But I believe this is one of Australia's oldest jails. I do believe that is true, and it has this design. This sort of same design as Goulburn Jail. It's very similar design to Goulburn Jail. And if you're a new viewer to the channel, jump in and watch my video about Australia's biggest, most notorious jails, and Bathurst is actually included in that list. But mate, look how close it is to the golf club here. Look at how close it is to the golf club, and you drive straight past this thing on the main road, on the Mitchell Highway here. So it's very, very close. It's very, very close. What else has Bathurst got for us? Okay, it's all pretty standard stuff, right? It's all pretty standard stuff. But as I leave Bathurst and I go through Bathurst from Sydney, I am very, very soon, I hit the town of Orange. And it is quite amazing how fast that actually happens. I'm on this highway here and I get to Orange so quick, man. Now, if Bathurst and Orange don't have a rivalry, I'm not here, because the closeness of these two towns has to have a rivalry, all right? If I'm a little under 15s kid thinking I'm, awesome at football, I'm wearing my skins in the Woolworths, walking around, look how good I am. I'm looking forward to playing Bathurst every year in the whatever Orange Bathurst Cup, okay? There's got to be some sort of rivalry here between Bathurst and Orange. And if you were involved in this rivalry, please drop your best story about how that time you beat Bathurst 12-0 or whatever it was back in 2004. The glory days. I could have made it to state, but, I just wasn't really trying my hardest here. Now Orange compared to Bathurst, all right? Orange is a nice town. It's a little bit more bougie. I spent a bit of time in Orange last week, and I was surprised at the bouginess of it. It was a lot of restaurants, a lot of little bars, okay, little cafes. It's very white. And it's very kind of, they're a little bit, well-to-do, as my darling mother would say. They're a little bit more traditional here. And I don't know if Orange has gone through a bit of a Sydney cider sort of tree change situation going on here, because I feel like there's a lot of Sydney style people in Orange. I feel like there's a lot of Sydney action over here, and they have a uni as well. Okay, well, they have a campus. So if you went to Charles Sturt Uni, you could do it at the Orange campus or at the Bathurst campus. So I guess that's a reason why you would never leave Orange. But before we actually zoom in on Orange, I did notice there's something out here. I did notice just outside of Orange, there is this massive gold mine here. This is Cadia Gold Mine. Now, this is one of New South Wales, I think, biggest gold mines, and it's a huge employer in the region. This is a monster employer in the region. And the reason this caught my eye is because of this huge pond here. All right, this is huge pond. Now, I don't know what it is about gold mining and ponds. And if you've got the answer, please let me know in the comments. But why do gold mines always fill up their holes with water? Or is this just a naturally occurring thing that happens when it rains? Is this just become a dam? But the thing is, I've noticed they're always this really like turquoise color, green or blue. And you can see over here, this one's kind of green as well. This one's really blue. And obviously this one's that really turquoise kind of aqua color. So if you know the answer to that, why gold mines always have these really striking colors. And look, again here, it looks like food dye. It looks like some sort of food dye is being sort of poured all over the land. And it might be some sort of chemical reaction, some chemicals that they use in the refining process of gold. But I'm not sure. And it's interesting as well. Look at this, Boral Concrete. So this is a big concrete manufacturer. You see these trucks going around all the time. Is concrete a byproduct of mining for gold? Again, that could be something that someone knows in the comments. Chuck that in the comments. But let's have a look at Orange here, because this is a bougie town, all right? Orange, a lot of wine bars. Bathurst, a lot of pubs. Orange, a lot of wine bars. Bathurst, a lot of pubs. In Orange, you know, if you have a disagreement with someone, maybe you can get into a game of chess. All right, Bathurst, potential headbutt in the face or glassed, okay? When I'm in Orange, I get into a scuffle, you know, rook to E4, Bathurst, broken jaw. That's a little rhyme for you. You can take that one to the bank. All right, so take that one to the bank. Now, there's a couple of bougie schools in Orange. We've got the Orange Anglican Grammar School. And I'm thinking the kids in Orange reckon they're pretty slick. I'm thinking that the kids in Orange think they're pretty slick compared to the kids in Bathurst, because they got a lot of bougie schools. There's another school here, actually. Here it is here. This is called Kinross Wallaroi. Now, I know a couple of boys that went to this school, and they never shut up about the fact that they went here. All right, all they talk about is going to Kinross and how they played twos for the union team once, or whatever it is. You know, God help you if you have a friend in your circle that played either thirds, twos, or if it's firsts for their private high school rugby union team. You will never hear the end of it. It's like the mathematical equation of playing twos and telling your mates about it is like, you know, Isaac Newton needs to study it, because it's extreme, okay? E equals MC squared, that's like one of the most well-known ones. What about private school played twos squared? Study that next time, because I think that more resources needs to be put into that, okay? More resources need to be put into that. This is, I believe, Duntry League Golf Club here. Duntry League. And this is a nice course. This isn't, Duntry League, we can see here. This is a nice course. I actually played this golf course the other day, and I was very pleasantly surprised. I only played 9 holes here, but I enjoyed it. And I would love to come back here and have another hit. So anyone from Orange that wants to give me a couple of golf course recommendations, please hit me up, because I want to come back here and have a crack, because there's some nice courses around here. There's some nice courses. And again, look at this, man. The Orange Country Club. What is the go with Orange and being a little bit bougie? Mate, they're bougie around here in Orange. They're very, very bougie. I don't know what it is. Let's have a little look here. Okay, we've got an industrial area here in Orange. It's just nice. It's a nice country town. It's a nice little country town. It's very well put together. Hockey's a game I never understood, dude. Hockey's a game I just never got my head around. You had a mate that played hockey. He'd wear his mouth guard to school. What's going on there? It's a bit weird, He's eating boiled eggs at his desk. I had a mate who played hockey. Oh, he loved boiled eggs. No, something's wrong about that. Eating a boiled egg out of breakfast time, like peeling a boiled egg, mate. Peel a boiled egg and then see how people look at you. All right, you can't get away with it. You can't get away unless you're hanging around with other people that peel boiled eggs. Then you're good to go. It's play on, right? It's play on. Again, look at this, mate. St. Mary's Catholic Church. It's just a little bit more nice in Orange. It's a little bit more nice. A little bit more nice. Look how green these trees are in Orange. Look how green. Like, why are they so green? These look almost like they've been painted. Looks a little bit like that, don't you think? You never get a tree that green ever. Look how green these trees. Mate, what is the go with these trees in Orange? Why are they so green, mate? Look at this. You've never seen trees so green in your life than Orange. That is insane. All right, actually, this is important. Hold on, let me get my bearings here. And tell you a little tale, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the Orange 10-pin bowl. I believe, if my calculations are correct, that Australia's best 10-pin bowler, Jason Belmonte, is from Orange. Now, the great man, I think he might have been world champion or in the running to be a world champion. Has he bowled here at the Orange 10-pin bowl? And maybe he still does. Jason Belmonte, Australia's best 10-pin bowler. You never hear about 10-pin bowling anymore. You never ever hear about it. But I believe there was a time back in the 80s where they were some of the highest paid athletes in the world, 10-pin bowlers. And Australia's best from Orange, Jason Belmonte. Jason, mate, love your work. And that's Orange. A little bit nicer than Bathurst. A little bit nicer, as I said. In Bathurst, if you get into an argument, you might get glassed. In Orange, they might you might get challenged to a duel. If you're in Orange. Now hold on, what's this? Orange Radio Control Car Club. This is interesting. We've got the Orange Radio Control Car Club. So you drive a little RC car around there. That's kind of cool. I'd like to do that. Man, remote control cars are fun, mate. They are fun. As a kid, you had a crack at them, but man, adults do it. The Knobless Motorcycle Club out here. Pretty classic country stuff. Let's zoom out here and let's look at one more town here. Because I've got to get ready for State of Origin. I've got friends coming over. The game's on soon. Now, there's a lot of towns out here, but we'll do all these another time. And something's just caught my eye. Let's go to Forbes, New South Wales. Because I've got a bit of a story about Forbes. I believe that Nedd Brockman is from Forbes. Okay, run across Australia, Nedd Brockman. All right, the mullet, the man himself. Now, I've seen Nedd Brockman in the flesh run around Centennial Park, and he's a nice guy. He gives me a little wave. If Nedd Brockman has waved to you while you're running around Centennial Park, there's a little part of you that thinks maybe you've got what it takes to become a professional athlete. Has he seen something in me? Has he recognized my technique and thought, yeah, good stride, mate. You've got a good stride on you. Now, if I'm Nedd Brockman, where have I cut my teeth? In Forbes, where was it that got me into running? Is there a Nedd Brockman? Have they made him a statue or something? What's going on out here? Where's the Nedd statue? All right, where's the Nedd? I'm not seeing anything Brockman related. All right, I'm not seeing anything Brockman related. Let's have a little look here. Okay, what have we got here in Forbes? Now, Lake Forbes. It seems like it's got its own lake. Is this kind of like a Lake Burley Griffin situation happening here? Lake Forbes. that goes through the town, because in Canberra they have this Lake Burley Griffin, which I think is just 90% shopping trolleys and a place where you get too drunk, you go swim in it in the middle of the night. You get leeches on you. That might be a personal story, I'm not sure, or something I've heard from someone else, but maybe this is kind of like a Lake Burley Griffin situation. But the Lachlan River runs through Forbes here. The Lachlan River runs, where is it up here, the Lachlan? The Lachlan is the lesser known brother or cousin of the Murrumbidgee, Murray-Darling Basin. I like the Lachlan River. It never gets the credit it deserves, the Lachlan, but I'm a big fan of it. All right, here we go, the Forbes Racecourse. This is the Forbes Racecourse, and I'm thinking maybe Nedd Brockman's run around this thing before. All right, I think potentially, now from my own personal experience, I ran around a racecourse when I was in year 5 for cross country, and we held it out the old racetrack, and I was burning around the outside for the district flex here, the district cross country. Now, I would bet that Brockman's done a couple laps of the Forbes racecourse, one stage or another, for some sort of, cross country event. That would be a guess that I would make here. Or maybe I just went to a way shitter town. Not sure about that. Also, sorry for swearing. I've done pretty good. That's the first time I've actually sworn on any of these videos, and I'm going to leave it in there and just see what happens, You never know. You never know. What do we got here? The Gum Swamp and Bird Hide. What is this? This is a swamp out here in Forbes. This is a swamp, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, get out of my swamp. This is a swamp. Sorry for the terrible Shrek voice there. You never see swamps anymore. You never see swamps. Pretty mythical sort of places, aren't they? Very green. This is very, very green out here in Forbes. Very, very green. Let's go back in the center of town here. Let's see if we can pick out some stuff here in Forbes. What is Forbes? What is Forbes offering us? We've got the Forbes High School here, pretty standard. Not going to look at it. It's not worth a look. Sorry about that, Forbes High School. You look like every other high school. Some nice little houses. Mate, it's probably just a sleepy little town. Forbes North Public School. It's all just... Hold on. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. We're in Forbes here, and they've got a street called the Bogan Way. They've got a street here in Forbes called the Bogan Way. Now, that is telling me something. Now, this needs to be on the national news, all right? The Bogan Way coming into Forbes here. Is this where we came up with the word bogan? Has Forbes, have they accidentally given us the Bogan Way? I'm loving that. If you're from Forbes, do you guys realize that you got a street called the Bogan Way? Maybe not. It might just be part of your life. Okay, we got the Ben Hall Bushranger grave. Who's Ben Hall? Ben Hall must have been a famous bushranger. Now, we all know Ned Kelly, obviously. I don't know another bushranger. I do not know another bushranger. And Ned Kelly, mate, imagine lugging around all that suit of iron that he had on, walking around, punching on, shooting or whatever. I believe more of a Victorian thing, Ned Kelly. I believe more of a Victorian sort of operator, but Ben Hall Bushranger in Forbes. I'm going to do a bit of research about that later on and read up on my bushrangers, because I don't think I know enough about Australian bushrangers, and that's kind of sad. That's a bit of a folklore part of isn't it funny that as Australians we celebrate bushrangers, even though probably just criminals who just I guess shot people and robbed people, but good story, I guess, and we like the underdog. Some nice houses out here in Forbes, far out. Look at this joint. Number 16 Windsor Street. Again, sorry for putting you on blast here, but number 16. A little bit of a compound vibe out here. Number 16. And I reckon that might do us for Forbes. Here. We talked about Brockman. We couldn't figure out any secrets from Brockman. He's probably run every single street in this town, mate. He's probably run every single street there is. Okay? The man himself. And that might do us. I think that might do us. We looked at Bathurst, we looked at Orange. We'll do more of these. Remember, if you know, it's one of these towns that you're from that you want me to look at, please send me a DM. I'll try to get to it eventually. But, mate, State of Origin tonight. Up the Blues. Let's go. All right. See you on the next video. All right. Bye. Bye.